If you are a fan of softball, you are going to love the Fastpitch TV show. From softballjunk.com, we're bringing you more softball than anyone on the planet. Sit back and get ready. Here's the Fastpitch TV show.
Hello, I'm Gary Leland, and this is the Fastpitch TV show. Make sure and take a look at all my videos, blogs, and all my softball information on my website at fastpitch.tv. Now, the Fastpitch TV website brings you more free softball information than any place on the planet. Now, today I'm going to bring you episode 3 in the history of softball. Now, I'm working with Fastpitch softball legend Dr. Richardson and Alison Strange of PFX Athletics to film a series of interviews between Richardson and other softball legends. You're going to be amazed at some of the softball greats that are joining us on this series of shows. Now, in this episode, Richardson interviews 3-time Olympian Leah Amico and 2-time Olympian Sheila Cornell-Douty. Now, this is another great interview in this series. Now, let's go watch the show right after this short message.
Oops, sorry. I was reading this month's issue of the Fastpitch magazine. What? You're not familiar with the Fastpitch magazine? Watch this. You are going to love it. Looks great, right? Want to find more about the #1 coaching tool on the internet? Go to fastpitchmagazine.com today.
Here we are in the ASA Hall of Fame, the Olympic room, with us 3 Olympians. Sheila Cornell-Douty, one of the greatest power hitters of all time, went to UCLA, a Bruin, okay? And then we have Leah Amico, 3-time Olympic gold medalist. She's in the 96, 2000, and 2004 Olympics. One of the standouts ever at Arizona, and of course, one of the greatest in the game. So what we want to do is share a little bit of Olympic memorabilia with you that's kind of behind the scenes. And the first thing, if you look on this wall, we've been in the United States, we've been in the Olympics from 1996, 2000, 2004, and 2008. Our quest right now is to get back into the Olympics. So hopefully 2020 in Japan will happen. But if we look at 1996, and all 3 of us are there, right? Let's talk about how we first found out we made the team. Now remember, people, this was amazing. Opened all over. In 1993 was when we knew that we would be in the Olympics in Atlanta, Georgia for the 96 Olympics ever, okay? And all of a sudden, the tryouts started happening. People were even paying money to go and try out. People were even going to try out knowing they weren't going to make it, but they wanted a T-shirt that they had tried out. Did you guys hear that as well?
Yes, I did.
I did.
Yeah,
I did too.
Across the country.
It was awesome. It was open for everybody. But here we were playing women's major ball. Okay? And for us, at the time, it was the Breakettes and playing for Stratford, Connecticut. But I will never forget, in the Marriott in Oklahoma City, September 5th of 1995 was when they named your first ever USA Olympic team. And here we are, that night before, so it's still September 4th, all of a sudden we were told the team was announced. But it was secret. We had to walk and go into a room, and there was Don Porter, who handed us a letter that showed who was on the team. And in my room was Lisa Fernandez and Krista Williams. And I'll never forget this, because they were so afraid to go and check. Remember, a lot of people invested a lot of time into trying out, right? So I go in, there's Don Porter, and he hands me this letter, this paper. And as I opened it, I started alphabetically looking, and I saw my name. And I have to admit, a little tear came to my eye, right? And then all of a sudden, I realized how many women were not chosen, right? So quickly, as Don Porter gave me a hug and congratulated me, I walked as fast as I could down the hallway back to my room, thinking I might see a woman who wasn't selected, and I wouldn't know what to say at that time. So as I got into the room and I shut the door, remember, Lisa Fernandez and Krista Williams were there. I jumped on the bed and I started jumping up and down, and I stopped and said, "Your first ever USA Olympic softball team." And I started reading down, right? And of course, here we go, and Lisa's name, gets excited, my name, excited, and Krista Williams, this little young woman who was 15 years of age when her dad had sent in her application to try out, and she didn't even know about it. Here she is now, 18, I believe you too, right? 18? All of a sudden, and the last player named to the USA Olympic softball team, Krista Williams! And she went berserk. Imagine 18 years of age and you're on the first ever Olympic softball team. I will never forget that. And in the morning, across her way was Susie Brasney, who's in the Hall of Fame, one of the greatest players of all time. She was not named. What do you guys remember about that?
Well, for me, I was actually one of the ones that was asked to go down to the office or the room first because I was older and could handle it, and other people were too scared to look. So I said, "Okay, I'll go check it out for you guys." And obviously, reading through it, the same thing, the excitement, and then also the disappointment for people that you've played with for many, many years who are great ball players who didn't make the team. But you couldn't help but just automatically think of everything you had gone through to make it there. And the same thing, yeah. I mean, it's an emotional moment when you find out you make the team, and it's going to happen. It's the Olympic team, and
who was in your room?
Put all Jill Justin was a
great player, just in time. Yeah, she was awesome.
And she didn't make the team, and she was one of my best friends. And it was hard going back and telling her that she didn't make the team too. But I did see a lot of the players in the hallways and stuff. I was somebody who never really shied away from confrontation or from that kind of stuff. I felt it was important to be there for them too, for those that didn't make it, and to be able to console. And you can't ever make it better because they didn't make it, but at the same time know that they had my support, and that we were playing for them in the future when we were actually going to be playing in the Olympic Games as well.
That's cool. Leah, what was it like for you?
I was in the room with Laura Berg. We were roommates, and we were two chicken. So I don't even know what we thought. I mean, we just laid there like, who knows? And we got a knock at the door, and we opened the door, and it was two of my Arizona teammates, Jenny Dalton and Amy Chellevold. And I just thought what graciousness they had, because they came in and told us that we both had made it, and also neither of them, their names weren't on the list. And so their dreams were crushed, but they were coming to congratulate us. And I do remember feeling just so excited, but again, also I knew there were a lot of mixed emotions, even with all the older players who had made it and a lot of players that weren't on the list. I didn't even know the team yet, but I just felt that immediately. And I remember calling and just telling my mom, "Hey, I made the team." And then they started screaming for me, and I realized, oh, okay, I can be excited.
Well, we actually had a big press conference that morning, and I think none of us had slept because of seeing everybody and saying goodbye. And I mean, we were bawling. I mean, a lot of people don't realize when you go through a 3-year process of trying out for a team and to be the first ever, there was so many mixed emotions. I mean, do you remember that in the press conference? I mean, a lot of us were just bawling.
Yeah, I totally remember.
And it wasn't bawling of excitement as much
No,
as...
it was both. It was just an overabundance of emotions. Ecstatic that you made it, knowing that you had so many people that didn't make it. Just the fact, especially I think for a lot of the older players, of how long we had played, hoping someday we really might be in the Olympics, and then it taking so long to get in, and just all that emotion finally coming to a head, really, of, hey, this is it.
Well, 1992 in Barcelona, those Olympics, we were told that softball would be in them as an exhibition sport, and it never happened. So when this was announced we'd be in there, I think a lot of us are like, yeah, really? Really? And now we're living it.
And we had already gone through, honestly, in '84, because baseball was included in LA.
Yeah.
And they were talking about softball at that time. Oh, let's include softball also. But it didn't really happen then. And so when you go through '84, now you go through '88, '92, we're going to exhibition. Oh, it's not exhibition. Then you're like, okay, is it really going to happen? Or is this just, another one? Oh, sorry. Made a mistake. Softball's not going to be in.
Yeah. Leah, what are some of the memories that you have now that you can think about from the tour? Because that was a whole year. Remember, September 5th of 1995 is when we were announced. What happened right after that for you?
Well, right after that, we ended up going to San Diego and competing in an international tournament. And I just remember that was the first time we were kind of walking out on the field as your Olympic team. You know, we were now named, and for so long we had been wanting to be named to that. And I just think that began the process, I feel like, of being able to then come under your guys' leadership and try to, you know, just really fulfill the role that maybe some other people who had been there weren't now there, and just to think, okay, we want to be a part of this, you know. And I feel like just that, the traveling, the fun times, the hard times. I think every team has hard moments, but I think everybody needs to go through that so that when you get through the harder stuff and the challenges and the tests, you're ready for anything thrown at you.
We've been told a number of things. One is like there's no such thing as a free lunch, you know. So what does that mean? I mean, Ralph would say that all the time. People don't realize that on the Olympic team, everyone's pulling. I mean, there's from magazine interviews and TV appearances to local people putting on events, wanting us to be there, autograph sessions, all these things. And it was so fun, but it was exhausting too. I mean, you know, I've got energy, but I was exhausted. I can, you know.
It was nonstop. I mean, everything. If we were playing games, sometimes my husband now jokes about it, how he couldn't believe autograph sessions till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning after the games, you know, to make sure everybody got an autograph, because this was the first Olympic team ever, and we wanted to make sure that all the youth were able to have contact with us and be able to experience that with us as well, let alone, like Dot was saying, you know, all the other obligations that came with it. Radio shows, some TV stuff that came up, interviews with magazines, sponsorships, let alone trying to practice the way you knew you needed to be practicing in order to be prepared. And I think, you know, that which doesn't knock us over actually makes us a lot stronger, and that really was extremely true in those tours leading up to the Olympic Games, because we definitely were tested not only on the field for our sport, but really the mental part of it, what we had to deal with off of the field.
Now, we're allowed to play cards and go to movies. So I went to movies a lot. Laura Berg and I, you two, right? One day we saw 5 movies in a row. They were free for us to go to. So we took advantage of that, like Laura and I. So what are some things that you guys can remember that's kind of fun like that?
I was just going to say, thinking about it, another thing that I remember, because, you know, I had been a national champion, but that just didn't compare to anything to traveling with the Olympic team. And the stadiums, everywhere we went, we just had stadiums packed with fans waiting for us to get to the field, waving to us as we entered with the bus. I mean, you felt like a rock star, you know, and of course, thought we get out, that's what they all wanted to see, but everybody, we got that experience, and like Sheila talked about, the autographs afterwards, and so I think of that, and yeah, I was young, so immature, I'm sure, and just I think of just more thinking of the fun side of it. And it's funny because in 2004 I saw the young athletes being like I was, and I was very serious. This is all business by that time, so you go through the different stages.
Yeah,
I think one of the things I remember most was Dallas-Fort Worth.
Yes.
The streets were lined, flags.
There was like 7,000 people there,
just
crammed
so much
into these bleachers they moved in. And
so patriotic. Just,
yeah.
I mean, everything there is just bigger than patriotism, and I totally just thought that was one of all the tour stops, that was just so touching, because that's who we're representing, you know, America.
Well, we pointed to Krista Williams, and she's going to kill us probably, but one of the big things for her was the prom, and we were having games, and all of us went to Ralph, especially you and I as older ones, and said, it's not right, yes, it's not right that she misses her prom. So he's going, what? A guy doesn't understand this. So anyway, we ended up helping to get Krista to go to her prom. Remember that, Leah? I mean, that was kind of a big thing. But there was a lot of fun stuff that happened, but it was a lot of work.
And I was saying too, one of the funny things that we all dreaded later, eventually, was Martha O'Kelly, who was definitely one of the cheerleaders and kept our spirits up no matter what, no matter how tired things were going. She was one that was always peppy and right there for everybody. And one of the first tour stops, we were signing autographs for hours, and they played music in the background, and the YMCA song came on, and she jumped up on the autograph table and started doing the whole YMCA dance, and it became a break for everybody, and it was really funny, and it was like, okay, this is, you know, let's chill. It was pretty nice. And then it kept happening on the next tour stop. And then after a few, it was like, okay, you guys, you got to do the YMCA. We were like, Okay. Not again.
But also, we played against some teams like high school players, remember? Because they wanted the experience. And I have to say, it really proved how good a lot of us were, because it was kind of scary, when you could literally
skill levels.
Ace, you could really rip a ball and scare someone. And that's a white ball, the limited flight, compared to a yellow ball now. And our bats were aluminum. There wasn't really the composites and everything at that point.
Oh, and we definitely cannot forget, we had the chance to go on Oprah. That is definitely a memory that you would just laugh if we could see that. But we were on Oprah, and because we had not been, they had these Olympians, and they'd come in and tell their stories, but we were going to be there for the first time, so they decided to give us makeovers. And they brought us all in and chopped my hair off and gave us all makeovers. And
I think I have the same hairdo now.
Straightened Michelle Smith's hair, and we didn't know, we'd never seen her like that. So it was fun to see how they dressed everybody, and that was something we'll never forget.
There was a lot of attention. It was a lot of fun. But what was it like? Let's talk as we kind of walk a little bit here. These are the tickets. When you look at July 22nd to July 29 of 1996, right before our first game, and we're at the opening ceremonies, what are some of your memories as we walk down for that experience?
Oh man, that's just incredible. It's just like everything. It's hard to explain. It's your heart's racing, it's pumping, and it's everything's coming in together all at once, and you're there with everybody, and it's just from your country, obviously, the Olympic team. It's a heart-pumping, patriotic, just, oh my gosh, this is it. We are representing our country out here. It's hard to explain that.
Well, we waited on a baseball field, right? And we waited a long time. It had to be 3 hours. Because the United States, of America, we're the last. So Aruba, you name all these alphabetically started walking. We weren't really sure where they're going, but we could hear the crowd. And then all of a sudden, we get up and we're walking, and we're at the very top, looking down into this Coliseum with over 100,000 people, cameras, the flashes, everything there. And my first thought was, don't trip. I mean, that was my first thought. I'm like, oh my gosh, don't trip. But it was just the goosebumps, the pride of representing our country. We were floating on air. I mean, Leah, what did you think?
Yeah, I definitely think you're walking in and really true patriotism that you're talking about, just really feeling the pride to be an American. That's what I took from it. Meeting the other athletes that you see on TV, and now we're all representing our same country on that level playing field, even though for a long time softball has fought to get in the spotlight. And just seeing yourself and feeling like a superstar as those people just are cheering for you as you walk around the entire stadium. There is nothing else like it.
And we're walking, our arms are up and waving at everyone, feeling like we're just big family. And we got to the infield of the track, and this was a moment for me. There on a huge screen came Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream. And I was ready to lose it right then, because I felt you could hear a pin drop. I felt there was a silence, not just in the Coliseum, but throughout the world, with millions of watching. Where at that moment, I felt like everyone recognized that God has given us these amazing gifts and opportunities. And here they're watching athletic abilities, but each and every one of us are special the way that we are. And I think the Olympic spirit to me is that, it's like we're celebrating these gifts, but look at the gifts I've been given. And it was just contagious, infectious, and just so overwhelming of just this sense of unity and that Olympic spirit.
I think that was a huge moment. I agree with you 100% on that. And the other really big one for me was Muhammad Ali. Parkinson's disease up there, representing us, shaking, it didn't matter. It was, I still get tears in my eyes thinking about it. It was, it was awesome.
Well, as we go to this side here, Leah, when you look at this games who did we play July 22nd in that first game? Puerto Rico. I want to know what you two guys felt when I stepped up to hit, because being the leadoff batter, I wondered, were you guys even watching, or were you I wonder what's going to happen, or What did you think?
Yeah, I think it's like, I'm glad she's up first. We'll get to see what they're going to do and what it's all about. And if anybody needed to be that first hitter, it was Richardson.
Well, let me take you to the first pitch to an American in Olympic history. First pitch. Ready? Ball one. I was like, what? Second pitch. Hit up the middle. At first base, Julie Smith gets up, bunts me to second. And at second base, Lisa Fernandez gets up, our third batter, insides out a pitch and takes it to right field. I round third and score the first run in Olympic history, with Lisa getting the first RBI in Olympic history. And it happened the way it should have, but I always have wondered, and I'm glad I got to ask what you guys were thinking. Come on. Huh? Now, you had a phenomenal, both of you. It was great. I mean, what are some of your memories here?
Well, obviously my biggest memory from the actual playing of the games themselves, for me, was hitting the home run against China. You know, down by a couple runs, we're late in the game, and Kim Mara gets on base, nobody out, and Ralph says, "You got it, big girl." Which I knew meant, I'm not bunting. And everybody else in the stadium is wondering, why is he not bunting?
He knew it.
But, and then, you know, for me, the first pitch, it was a shot down the right field line, and I was like, oh, that would have gotten her all, at least a third, maybe home on that. And I was so disappointed, and then looking like a fool swinging at the changeup.
They had good changeups.
They did have really good changeups. And then just being able to put it out, and we scored and got ahead, and it was awesome.
Well, Leah, you mentioned that about having a successful championship team. Everyone's got to do it.
Yeah.
Everyone. We had, our number 9 batter was like a leadoff batter for any other team. I mean, we were really stacked with talent, for sure. What are some of your memories? Come on, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I played half the games, and the other games I split with Deanna Harris, and so seeing it from both sides of the field, I think just that gratefulness to be on this team in the first place, to be a part of such a group and representing our country. And I can remember the Australia game, and it was just what a game, and Lisa Fernandez throwing a perfect game, and the 5th inning, Danny Tyler hits a home run, and she misses home plate, and they call it back, and so we end up going extra innings, and they end up winning on a walk-off home run, and just, yeah, Sheila Brown, UCLA. That's what we get.
I have never seen Lisa pitch any better than that game, and she deserved a perfect game.
Yes.
But after the game, I went up to Lisa and I said, there's only one reason that this makes sense, and that is the next Olympics are in Australia. And with Australia beating us in this game, maybe, just maybe, it might help us stay in the Olympics. And Lisa looked at me and said, if that's the price that had to be paid, I think we're all in for that. And I called her when we got announced in the 2000 Olympics in Australia, and I said, I know it's painful, but it was worth it to get in the Olympics again. And she said, yeah, absolutely. Well, here's one of my memories, and I have to share this now because we're in the Hall of Fame. Before the gold medal game, you know, before any game, everyone wanted autographs. Remember, right above our dugouts and everything, and they're tossing us balls or gloves, and we're signing and throwing them back, right? Well, before the gold medal game, a ball was tossed to me, and as I had the ball, I'm trying to find a place to sign, and this is a joke between us because I couldn't find a spot to sign, and normally I get blasted for having the biggest autograph, but I think Michelle had a really big autograph. But anyway, well, I couldn't find a place to sign, and so I keep thinking, well, my teammates didn't leave me a spot, and I'm looking, and I'm ready to sign it, and I hear, Dot, don't sign it. Don't sign it. I'm like, what? And I look up, and there's Judy Hall. And Judy Hall was an Orlando Rebel way back when I was 13 years old, and we were teammates. She said, we have signed this for you. And I looked at the ball. You guys might not even know this. And I looked at the ball. There were names of Hall of Famers. From Marge Ricker, Joan Joyce, Irene Shea, Mickey Davis, Margie Wright, Margie was, our assistant at the time. But I'm reading these Hall of Fame names, and I went over to my bag, and I put the ball in there. And a little tear came from my eye as well as I realized this was more than just us. We were living the dream for so many women who were deserving to have the opportunity, but never given the opportunity. The 1996 Olympics will go down in history as the Title IX Olympics. Every women's sport seemed to win a gold medal in Atlanta for the United States of America. We looked at what it was: beach volleyball, indoor volleyball, women's basketball, women's swimming, women's soccer, women's softball, gymnastics, synchronized swimming. I mean, to me, the 96 Olympics, and I want you two to think about what it meant to you in a saying, but to me, the 96 Olympics was when the world recognized and appreciated the talents in athletics, no matter what gender. To me, that was the biggest thing of the 1996 Olympics. I just felt it that way. What do you guys have anything to share with that? Or?
Well, I just think being on the younger side of that, absolutely. It was just this time, this breakthrough for women's athletics, and no matter what age you were. And I was inspired by the older athletes, that realizing how long you fought for us to even have that opportunity. And so I know I didn't want to waste that opportunity going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also besides that, which I agree with everything you've said as well, it was a time when it showed how exciting women's sports could be. And I personally, I remember talking to a reporter in Columbus, Georgia from the LA area, who was really, really disappointed that he had been assigned to softball because it was out in Columbus and it was away from everything else, and it was softball. And before the gold medal game, he came back to me and he said, "I am so excited that I got to do women's softball. This is an incredible sport. I wouldn't have chosen to have something else if I knew it was going to be like this from the beginning." And I mean, that just said a lot about our sport, but I think it also showed through all the other sports that the females were playing in too. They were exciting games for each one of them, and I think that was one of the big things as well.
In the gold medal game, there were scalping tickets to get in. Did you hear that?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And my stepkids didn't want to get rid of theirs. That was impressive to me.
Oh yeah, that is pretty cool. I love that. Well, we look at some pictures here now. You know, they're not in order, but I could tell you, here you go, Leah and Brian and Amico, you know, the donation right there that you have done with your autograph there. I love Philippians 4:13 on there as well. We can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I mean, that shows a lot of, you know, where your inspiration and your strength comes from. But talk about some of these things that you guys, that stands out to you.
I want you to talk about something from the '08 games, though, because to me, that was something to be in Greece where it all started.
In 2004, yeah.
2004.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 2004. What did I said 8. Sorry, 2004. It's because I was looking at that.
Yes, 2004, I think that was probably the most special part about it, was going back to Athens. We had been given homework, and each of us would have to pair up with another athlete, and we'd have to find out what, you know, some topic, what kind of food they had there, what kind of architecture, what kind of, you know, sports. I mean, we just had to find historical, you know, facts about it. And so just our team, we were heading into this, but I brought back to really where the Olympics had come from, the history. And I think as athletes, you play your sport, you have your focus, you know the people right before you, but then to go back and to really see where we've come from.
Well, here's your jersey right here for the 96 games, right?
Yes. And how different the jersey is.
Sponsorship change. Yes. Well, here you have the 96 jersey, then up here you got Kendrea for the 2000 and which that was the 2004 games, correct?
That was 2004.
But look at even the helmets. Oh my gosh! In the Hall of Fame here, if you ever come to visit and you watch, you see these old softballs, the original ones, and gloves, and the helmets too. We'll get a chance to look over here. The changes in that. But look at
or no helmets.
Or no helmets.
Yes.
The first time, this is trivia, the first time we ever had to wear helmets in fast-pitch softball was in 1982 at the World Championships in Taiwan. So I was the leadoff batter, and I got the smallest hat, extra small, and just put it on the crown of my head because I thought it was so silly that we had to wear helmets. But, you know, it was just weird. And now I'm glad that they're wearing helmets, so it's great. But I wasn't used to it at all. But what do you got here? I mean, I'm not sure. Lee asked me what this is of me jumping up and down.
Probably a home run.
I was always jumping up and down, so, you know, love it. Here's the real dream team. I love that.
That was huge. I think the fact that they put us on the cover, we were posing for these pictures.
The cover what?
For Sports Illustrated. And if you can see up here, Justin Gatlin that same day had won. They called him the fastest man in the world, and so it was this talk of like, we might possibly actually be on the cover. What a big deal for softball. We didn't think it was likely with him and what he had just accomplished. But then we found this out, and every one of us went home and just started snatching up as many as we could.
That is fantastic. Sports Illustrated, awesome. I always wondered, you look at Jenny right there with that picture, and they put those on your heads after you won.
Yes.
You know, that was so, tradition.
So
Yes.
patient.
Yeah, I think it's neat.
Yes, I agree.
Now, we look at here, we talked about, you mentioned Danny Tyler. Danny Tyler and I trained really hard hitting with Ralph Weekly. We went up to Tennessee and worked. And when she hit that home run against Australia, dead center field, just blasted it. I was so excited for her. And unfortunately, she had missed home plate, or was called missing home plate. So the home run that would have won a perfect game in the Olympics for Lisa ended up going extra innings, as you mentioned, in the 10th inning with the international tiebreaker. We ended up losing with 2 strikes, 2 outs, a runner on second, and Joanne Brown, who's a Bruin UCLA from Australia. She hit the home run to defeat us. But
The good thing is no one's ever done that since.
yeah,
It's become everywhere. Everybody make sure.
Oh, yeah.
When you say softball, calling softball, you see it everywhere.
Exactly.
Everybody
They stand
stand
on
for
that
that and make sure they hit that plate.
and just raise the hands. Here with Sydney, I mean, the 96 Olympics inspired me to write a book you guys know called Living the Dream.
Yes.
Well, I'm still going to write a book one day called Living the Nightmare, inspired by 2000.
Because it was at times.
You know,
It was.
but the message is this: life isn't easy. It's not supposed to be. You know, I mean, greater is He that is in us than he who is in the world. I mean, when you look at the 2000 Olympics, was just so backwards. I mean, nothing seemed to go right. We could have easily have given up. And that's one thing we never did. And I will never forget, after losing those 3 games in a row, right? The next day was my birthday, September 22nd. And my birthday gift was getting hit, first pitch, by Jenny from New Zealand, right? I was like, thank you very much. That was my birthday present. But anyway, we were able to turn around. But I look at that game when they show it. We only had 1 hit. That's very unusual. I mean, we're hitters. But we didn't give up. And that's the biggest message, I think, for the 2000 Olympics. What about you guys? Would you?
Oh, without a doubt, that, and I'm just basically, the greater the challenge, the greater the victory. The harder that challenge is, how much better it feels inside when you actually accomplish it. And that ability to be able to keep pushing no matter how bad it gets, and not just throw the towel in and say, that's it, we're done. You know, that's what makes a champion, that ability to dig somewhere really, really deep in there and pull it out and do what you have to do to make it happen.
Yeah, and I don't know that any other team, USA softball team, has faced that much adversity, especially when we did, how we did. And so to me, I felt like it showed us what we were truly made of in the most difficult time.
Now, I'm going to bring this up, and as Leah has said, all of us have our own recollection or perception of things. But I have to tell you, I'll start this off, and you guys can put in what you think. We have just lost 3 in a row. People were stunned, players, tears, whatever. I mean, it was crazy. I told Lisa, who went in to get interviewed, I said, don't cry in the press conference. And she looked at me, I said, if you cry in the press conference, it's going to be on the front page, Aussies bring Americans to tears. Don't do it. So I don't know what happened in the press conference because I wasn't in there, but I'm assuming Lisa was not crying. And the tears for her was not about losing, it's about feeling I've let the team down, you know? Because remember, she had lost to Australia the same exact way to almost the same exact player in the same colored uniforms 4 years earlier in the Olympic Games. Right? And that was our 3rd loss.
Yep.
I will never forget getting on the bus, and you could have heard a pin drop. Coaches were not looking at anybody. Players were not looking. You could hear a pin drop. Do you guys remember this?
Oh, yeah.
And I got in this bus, and it was like a school bus, right? And I'm walking in, I'm ready to sit down, and I'm like, I just couldn't. So I stood up, and I said, we are living a nightmare. And I can still hear the echo of my voice in that bus. Do you guys remember that?
Yes, I do.
I was like, and do you know the good thing about a nightmare is you wake up. And we need to wake up right now. And maybe I will get the answer to this question because I still cannot remember who said this. And one of my teammates said, That's right. Bad things happen in 3, and this was our 3rd loss. Do you know who said that?
No.
And I said, that's right. Bad things happen in 3, and this is our 3rd loss. And then Fernandez, who had gotten into the bus and hid in her seat, she looks at me and she says, we need to cleanse these uniforms. What, Lisa? We need to cleanse these uniforms. We need to cleanse these uniforms. How do we do that, Lisa? We got to get in the shower when we get back. Is this making sense? You guys remember it this way? We're getting in the shower as soon as we all get back, right? So when the number 1 player says we need to get in the shower to clean our uniforms, we are going to get in the shower. So I'm sitting there, and we get back. So we get back into the apartment, and there is Bustos and Williams uniforms on the steps where we put our uniforms to get washed. And I'm thinking, they don't believe me, right? And so do you remember me in the apartment saying, everyone in the shower with your uniforms now? Do you remember? So there was this handicapped shower on the 1st floor. You don't remember this? Okay, you do. You can't believe I'm saying it, right? So we get in this shower, right? It's a big handicapped shower, almost as fully clothed with our uniforms on.
I always have to include that because I don't want the wrong impression.
And we took Williams and Bustos uniforms and we put them in the middle and gave Lisa the little hand spigot, right? Remember? And I know you guys remember this. And I think, weren't you getting this soap and you were throwing the soap on the uniforms?
Michelle Smith was yelling, Juju out, Juju out.
And we're like, win a game. And Lisa, who is 0 for 20 at this point, this is very rare because she usually hits like crazy. She said, get a hit. And I think you said, or was it Brendan, you said, put a bunt down. Put a bunt down, right? They can't remember this. I remember it was yesterday, right?
And then we were down under, so somebody, and I don't remember who said it either, said, it's not USA, it's ASU. ASU.
Which had to be rough for you as Arizona to say that. So anyway, then we had the meeting that night, and I knew, I don't know how you guys felt, I knew at the end of that meeting that everyone had said, I don't care who gets credit for it, I don't care who does it, we need to play USA softball. Got back to the basics, and we came back not to win just 1, 2, 3, 4, but 5 games in a row to bring back the 2nd Olympic gold medal to the United States of America. And we share this story for all of you listening to realize, again, it's not always easy. And we could have gave up. But there's, champions find a way within. And it wasn't about winning, really. We won. We clawed. I said, everything was not going our way. And it's just, life isn't easy. And when you look at sport, it doesn't define us, right? It's just something that you have a passion and a gift to really put us on a stage to impact others. And I know, Leah, you do a lot of speaking. I know, Sheila, you as well. I mean, talk about that.
Well, I was also, I just want to touch on because you were talking about what actually happened in that room too. I think what was really, really important that did happen after that last meeting is that it was the first time everybody truly 100% came together as a team and realized that it took every single one of us to make it happen. And I mean, I can speak personally as a big hitter. A lot of times you put it on your shoulders when things aren't going right to do more than what you normally do. And what it took was for us to believe and love one another enough to give your own aspirations totally aside for the good of the team, and no matter what to do, what it was going to take you to do to make that team succeed. And just like Leah had said earlier, it's just, working on those little things. And I think that was something that was really, really important, that how that team really, that was it. That was when we really came together. We tried before that, but it wasn't until that moment, I think, that we really 100% were 150% probably together on that.
The gold medal game in the 4th inning, started raining. And I remember looking at him and said, who would have expected anything different? I mean, that's how bizarre everything was going.
Well, at that point, it was bring it on. What else?
Yeah.
What else are you going to give us? It's okay. It's all right.
There's a picture for those 2000 Olympics. I didn't see it here in the Hall of Fame, but there's a picture, and it has me. Do you guys remember this? The pickoff at first base, and my arm is up, and I'm screaming like this back to Newman, right? what happened is I had to play second base in the 2000 Olympics, and I wouldn't say I'm the greatest second baseman, you know, but to be able to play, we had a pickoff play. Now, check this out. It never worked. In the pre-Olympic tour, it never worked. I mean, in 6 times we tried it, 6 times we failed. In this game against China, which is called the bronze medal game, here we are, pickoff is given, Stacey Newman catching. I run over, she throws a perfect shot in my glove, get the girl out for the first time. I was so excited, my glove went up and, yeah! Because it was a perfect, it worked. Are you ready for this? I don't know if you remember this, but the next girl got a double. And if that girl had not been picked off by Stacey, the runner would have scored in regular innings and we would have lost. So again, all of these life lessons this sport is teaching us. We might fail, and we might fail, and we might fail, but if you redefine what failure is, just because you fall short doesn't mean you're a failure, right? Succeeding, giving it everything you have to be the best you can be no matter what the circumstances. So Leah, any thoughts you want to add for the 2000?
No, I just think that's the medal that I was most grateful for. When you think about Olympics and different experiences, you know, you talk about 96, but I think 2000, I was the most thankful. It was the biggest challenge that we had. And to me, I feel like more so than the other ones, I found out what true character was in those trials. As a team, I feel like it caused us to be, like you said, more close-knit and truly united.
Now, we talked about in 2004, I was able to commentate, and there you were, Leah, and what did it feel like, Ace, watching it from home?
Oh, I was so proud of him. Oh, it was so awesome watching it. I mean, obviously, I would rather have been there, but at that point in my life, I had chosen to
Got married and moved on.
And I was very happy to do that. But it was exciting and fun to watch, and it was fun to see just the total domination again.
Yeah. Remember
I
the
think that
first
was
year we
most
didn't play,
impressive.
we had lost to Japan, and it was like, what? All these years to build up that aura of dominance, and then all of a sudden, what? You know, you just never want your opponent to give them an inch, you know? Look at right here. Come on, talk to me about these helmets. When people are here looking at the Hall of Fame and you look at these helmets, look how plain our helmet was in 96. Isn't that interesting?
And I remember how you wanted them with the flag and all. Remember when we were talking about what we want on them? So they added sparkles and stuff instead. But it still looked nice. Yes. Michelle Smith.
Yeah, Smitty, 32, her uniform here. This was, again, my favorite part was autographs, you know. I got in trouble a little bit for staying too long at times, but just love the autograph. Well, the 2008 Olympics, there's only one of us who experienced all 4 of them, and that's Laura Berg, one of the greatest outfielders of all time. I call her rookie, no matter how old she is.
And one of the greatest pranksters of all time.
Yes.
I mean, who would do the chalk line hand on President Bush?
Yes.
Are you kidding me? Okay,
Bush is
Laura,
there.
she gets the chalk in her hands. President Bush comes to visit the team and slaps on the back of his suit, you know, and there he is walking around with Laura Berg's handprint. But you were her roommate a lot, so
Yeah, I was on the safe. I did not give print because I was on the safe side.
But you probably knew about all of them.
Yes.
So in closing in this room, what does it feel like to be here?
I just think it just brings back such great memories and life experiences, you know, to be so blessed to be able to have the God-given talents, first of all, but then to be able to develop them and the people that you meet, the places that you go, the cultures that you're able to experience. It's something truly wonderful and something that you take with you for the rest of your life that makes you a better person and probably more understanding as a person as well.
I just never thought, I thought softball was my ticket to get to college and get an education and degree, and it gave me that, but so much more. God opened so many more doors through the years. I think the friendships, relationships, lifelong. And I think back when you talked about us making that first ever Olympic team, our name was on that list, and that literally changed the direction of our lives.
Yeah. What are you doing now?
For me, I am doing some commentating with ESPN for college softball, radio for the Women's College World Series with Westwood One Sports, opportunities to speak all over the country. get to share my faith in God, a lot of opportunities with that time with the Olympic experience and life experiences, as well as softball camp, still being able to give back to the sport that gave us so much. I joined a lot with Jenny Finch at her camp, so excited about just her being in that next generation of leaders and people that people look up to in our sport.
And 3 amazing boys.
Yes, I am. I'm married to Tommy, and I have my 3 boys, Jake, Drew,
Ace.
Well, for me, let's see. I too am married. Have a wonderful husband, Joel. I have our 3 kids, David, Brian, and Tracy. I have 7 grandkids at this point. One of them who is actually hopefully going to University of Michigan.
Taken after you.
Yeah, taken after me. I don't know
Just
how.
like her.
We don't know how. They were my stepkids, but somehow she got my genes. We haven't figured it out yet, but it's definitely happened. But I have 7 others as well, so I keep 6 others, she's the 7th. Keep busy going to all of their activities. They're all into sports, and they're all great students, so there's lots of award ceremonies and all that fun stuff. I did have a physical therapy. I continue to have a physical therapy license, but I haven't worked in the field since after the Olympics. I do continue to do some motivational speaking as well. And then we also, my husband is a retired firefighter after 32 years, so I'm enjoying semi-retired, he's enjoying retired life. And we have some homes rental homes that I work on and keep busy. I'm never a dull moment, never.
Well, thank you for sharing the Olympic experience, you guys. I mean, it's always fun to talk about and come together. And I think for everybody watching, you said it the other day, the day that you feel that you've learned it all is probably the day when you need to retire. But we're, for us, always trying to learn and to better. And we're watching these championship games with the NCAA for the World Series, and we're still studying them and analyzing them. So
can't help it.
Exactly. Just always work to be the best that you can be. You guys are amazing. You're really a game changer. You make a difference in the lives of so many people.
As are you.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Make sure to come back and watch part 4 of softball history. Now, please tell your friends about the Fastpitch TV website and the Fastpitch TV show in this series of softball history shows. Make sure and take a look for yourself at my website, fastpitch.tv, to keep up with all the episodes of the show. So until next time, this is Gary Leland saying goodbye and thanks for watching.
Do you need a softball bat? Do you want to save $30? SoftballJunk.com is offering an additional $30 discount off the price of all non-sale softball bats on their website. That's right, $30. So the next time you buy a bat, go to SoftballJunk.com and enter the code FPTV30 during checkout. And wham! You just put a cool $30 in your pocket. This show is a member of the Fastpitch TV network. See all of our shows and blogs at www.fastpitch.tv.